Hey Texas JSA, my name is Devika and I'm from St. Mary's Hall in the ACR region. First of all, Shravya is one of the most driven and dedicated people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Her plans for next year as your Speaker of the House are admirable at the least, and her platform encompasses not only innovation, but also feasibility. Through her inventive ideas such as Instagram takeovers to increase the inclusivity of JSA, and reducing transportation costs for convention through partnerships with bus companies, we'll not only see a more unified JSA, but also countless more opportunities for students across Texas to join together and fight apathy. She acknowledges that chapters are the foundation of JSA, and I'm so proud to say that her ideas will make it substantially easier for chapters to thrive, attend conventions, and become one of the many pillars of Texas JSA, just like my own. In addition to that, her positive attitude and commitment to JSA show me that she is the perfect candidate for Speaker of the House. Her character already speaks 1,000 words as to why you should vote for her. I believe she will allow Texas JSA to achieve great things in the upcoming year. And I know that through her exceptional work as Director of Summer Programs, in which she worked to revise a new testimonial video and summer school raffle that created ripples in the way National JSA Summer Program functions. There is no doubt that she'll do the same for Texas JSA. If you want to see feasible change and passionate leadership, if you want to see more representation for each and every one of you, if you want to see a better and more unified JSA, vote Shravya Aparasu for Speaker. With that said, I'm so incredibly eager to nominate Shravya to be your next Texas JSA Speaker of the House. Here's to a better JSA.
Hey Texas JSA, my name is Shravya Aparasu, and I'm running to be your next Texas JSA Speaker of the House. 3 years ago, I would have never thought I would be giving this speech, or even be running for Speaker of the House for that matter. But my mindset definitely changed this year after my experience at Georgetown this summer. There, I met JSAers across the nation eager and excited to make a difference, and getting to know these individuals while cramming for finals or getting ramen in our dorm rooms inspired me to have a bigger impact on this organization. So here I am. My experience in this organization has shaped a lot of my aspirations for Texas JSA this upcoming year. As a fundraising agent last year, I piloted the first ever restaurant fundraiser at Spring State. And as the director of summer programs this year, I have worked to completely reform the way summer programs have traditionally been publicized. In the past year, I have not only worked on reforming the summer school testimonial video with your director of videography, Alexis Abbott, but I have also worked on introducing the new summer school raffle with National JSA. I have put in countless hours into helping students across the nation afford the opportunity to attend our summer programs. These programs are vital to the existence of JSA, believe it or not. They're one of the main roots of JSA fundraising and are the backbone behind growing this organization. Thousands of high school students across the nation are now running for positions just like mine and working to make a change within JSA just like me. And the sole difference is that they would have never been introduced to JSA and those opportunities if it wasn't for JSA summer programs. The opportunities that JSA offers are pretty incredible. However, a lot of people can't look past the cost of attendance to even experience them. But with a heavy focus on fundraising, we as Texas JSA can work to give students the opportunity to attend any and all JSA events, whether that be a state convention, a chapter con, or even summer programs. This starts with focusing on one of the most pressing issues when it comes to attending conventions: transportation. When chapters can't afford to find good transportation, there's a direct impact on convention attendance. And it hurts to see that some of the most passionate JSAers I know have to worry about whether or not they can even attend the next convention. As a result, I propose a plan to work specifically with charter bus companies like Greyhound to find cheap and safe transportation to conventions. And I know it's feasible because I implemented the very same idea within my own chapter this year. I think it's about time we spread that JSA bug we all know more often. Aside from fundraising, the next major focus of my platform is transparency. As Texas JSA, we need to increase our communication and really level the playing field between big and small chapters. And I think the solution to that is Instagram story takeovers. Instagram story takeovers are a fun way to allow all JSAers to learn the ins and outs of this organization. Currently, the majority of cabinet comes from strong chapters with a history of cabinet experience, and that puts smaller and newer schools at a serious disadvantage. When the people of cabinet don't truly reflect the people of Texas JSA, we fail to actually be the people. Instagram story takeovers will ultimately improve inclusivity within Texas JSA and create a cabinet that looks more like the people in the organization we all know and love. Now, as Speaker of the House, my biggest responsibility is to preside over the House of Representatives. As it stands, the House of Representatives has the potential to play a much larger role in this organization. For those of you who don't know, the House of Representatives and Senate work to pass legislation that amends our JSA Constitution to keep our organization fair and equal for each and every individual. This year, I had the privilege of being a representative from my very own chapter. However, in my first call, I was kind of confused on how to participate. This made the entire process not only a little bit confusing for me, but for many other representatives as well. Therefore, as Speaker of the House, my first job will be to create a detailed House of Representatives handbook that helps every representative understand the process of each meeting and how to make a bill that makes JSA even more engaged. Hopefully, I know these solutions can increase participation and really fulfill the mission and vision of JSA, which is, of course, to fight apathy. If you have any takeaways from this speech, remember this. As your next Speaker of the House, I will work to make sure everyone in Texas JSA has the opportunity to cherish the memories that I have made here in this organization. And I want you to know that I'm going to work to make a more inclusive JSA, more unified JSA, and a more active JSA. With that said, I hope to see each and every one of y'all at the next convention, hopefully in person, and here's to a better JSA.
Hi everyone, my name is Shravya Aparasu, and I am endorsing Ananya Luthria for Speaker. I'm the Director of Debate, broadcasting to you from the extremely classy location of my parents' bedroom, and I've had the pleasure of working with Ananya, for Ananya, and having Ananya work for me. And at every level, it's been an absolute blast. Not just because the work we're doing is enriching, but because she makes it easy. For example, when she asked me to record this speech, I asked her if I could do it in a suit and basketball shorts, and she said yes, so very kind person. But honestly, there's so many different reasons I think Ananya is the perfect choice, and it comes down to what I know about her personally. She is extremely diligent. When we worked together in the debate department, we were always the ones doing extra assignments. I remember being slightly irritated because I would do extra work to set myself apart, and then she'd do more work than me. We were one-upping each other into doing more work, which is just about the nerdiest thing I can think of, but it just goes to show how dedicated and diligent Ananya is. She's also always thinking about JSA. JSA is not something she has a temporary focus on. The position of Speaker, one of the members of the Big Three, a position that comes with so much power and responsibility, requires somebody who's always thinking about the wellness of the organization. I know, innately, Ananya is always focused on JSA because even if our conversations don't start by being about JSA, they end about JSA. It's always in her mind. She's also extremely mature in her attitude towards work, although compared to me, being mature isn't that much of a statement. Objectively, she's very professional. I know that she has the skills required and the work ethic required to get the job done. And finally, her platform is the best for small schools like me. I'm the president of a very small school that brings 6 or 7 people to convention. We have problems with cost and having our voices heard. And she has assured me, and I see it reflected in our platform, that we will have the most voice and it will be the most equal. It's for these reasons that Ananya is the clear choice for Speaker of the House.
Hey Texas JSA, my name is Ananya Luthria and I'm ready to be your next Speaker of the House. I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about why and how I joined JSA, the changes that I want to bring to this club, and lastly, why I am the best candidate for this position. I've been a part of JSA since the first week of my freshman year, where I was pulled into a room with a bunch of upperclassmen and told to sit at a table and listen. People kept standing up and arguing passionately, but me, a freshman, had no idea what was going on. Later, I learned that the debate was Carnegie's annual Fish vs. Friends debate. For those of you who don't know what that is, we're basically debating if freshmen were fish to eat or friends who upperclassmen should take under their wings and nurture. At that moment, however, I was taken aback by how confident the debaters were. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to stand up and speak my mind on the side of all the underrepresented freshmen. So, after I gained an understanding of what was going on, I built up my courage and advocated for freshmen in a room full of seniors. And guess what happened? I'll give you a hint, it wasn't pretty. The chapter president at the time stood up and yelled something along the lines of, "If we have to go through it, so do you," effectively shutting down whatever argument I had. I was devastated, thinking that I just made a total fool of myself. I was getting ready to walk out of the room and never come back when I was tapped on the shoulder. I turned around and that same chapter president was standing there, thanking me for speaking up as a freshman and telling me to come to the next meeting. That was when I knew that JSA was more than just upperclassmen yelling at underclassmen in a room. I knew that JSA was a club where everyone can yell at everyone else in a room. But seriously, all jokes aside, JSA became a home away from home. And that is the reason that I'm so passionate about the changes that I want to bring to this organization. So I'm going to mention a couple of those changes. First, with the activism department, I want to assign 2 separate weeks the chapter only does activism, one for WinterCon and one before Spring State. This would help to increase chapter engagement throughout the state. Activism is the heart of JSA, and so we need to make sure that each chapter understands that. The next department is CIA. My plan for this department focuses on connectivity at the chapter level and within regions. Making JSA a tighter-knit community can only help, and we need that at each level. Just like there's a council of governors, I suggest making a council of chapter presidents with chapter presidents in all regions, where we discuss how to run chapters to increase cohesiveness. Moving on to the convention department. The most important point of this department comes down to 2 words: lowering exclusivity. There's definitely a hierarchy in JSA with those in cabinet and those not. There will always be people in charge, but certain decisions can be handed off to other members. Those people can be making decisions such as who the keynote speaker is, how long we have for lunch breaks, what the theme of the dance is, etc. If JSA is truly for the people, we have to let the people make the decisions. So the next department is debate. This department has a special place in my heart as I've been a part of it for so long. However, like other departments, debate has its own problems. At most conventions, we have at least one debate about abortion, one about gun control, and one about marijuana or some other kind of drug that should be legalized. This is because debate agents are given 10 themes to write resolutions for and write numerous resolutions for each of these. These make the resolutions largely similar because agents write about the same large world events. So, instead of doing this, each convention should be given an overarching theme, such as a time period or a decade, and agents should write debate resolutions based on that. It would increase the diversity of topics that could be included and reduce repetition. Moving on to my plan for expansion. If you followed along on my platform, you've heard me refer to this as my 3-step plan that is tied together with CIA. The plan that I'll implement as speaker is a method to effectively increase the number of new chapters that JSA has and the rate at which they grow. The next department is fundraising. One part of my platform for this department is having scholarships available for each convention, including WinterCon, and fee waivers if necessary for chapter cons. Everyone who wants to go to any JSA convention deserves a chance to go. We need to find sponsors like we did with CR Score and be able to send people to these conventions. Every little bit helps. Along with this, my chapter this year started scholarships at the chapter level for certain conventions, which could be implemented in larger chapters statewide. Last but not least, publicity. For the publicity department, I focus on methods of outreach. After talking to members of the publicity department, I have learned that this department is pretty isolated from the rest of JSA. This is counterproductive as this department's job is to handle social media and reach out to all of JSA. To amend this, we should use social media platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and YouTube to get new members to join and to increase interactions with publicity agents and the rest of JSA. My work within JSA has always been behind the scenes, but now I have a chance to exhibit what I'm capable of if I'm put into a position where I have the ability to make real and beneficial changes to this organization. I will go beyond and put JSA in the hands of the people, as it should be. So when you're voting, vote for the person who you think is best fit for the position, not with your school and not with your friends, with your own judgment. And as always, remember, Luthrias don't lose. Thank you.
A charismatic leader and a genuine young man. Those are the words I would use to describe Jackson Osteen. The first time I met Jackson was at CabCon this past year, and when I walked up to the convention department's table and was met with his warm greeting and lively introduction, I had never felt more included in my entire JSA career. As soon as I took my seat, him and I almost instantly struck up a conversation, and it was delightful and refreshing to banter with someone so confident and energetic. It would have been incredibly easy for him to simply acknowledge my arrival and continue the conversation he was having with someone else, but instead, he made a conscious effort to get to know who I was and to make me feel included. That innate inclination towards inclusion that Jackson possesses is something that I think JSA could benefit immensely from. Too often in our current political climate, extreme polarization inhibits people from feeling as though they have a voice. However, being part of the people is ensuring that everybody, regardless of who they are and where they come from, is heard and respected. I also learned that that kind of lively spirit I was met with that day at CabCon from Jackson was simply who he was, a driven, dedicated young man who genuinely enjoyed educating himself and serving those around him. As the Director of Political Communications, Jackson works incredibly hard to give back to the organization he loves by bringing in some of the most esteemed speakers from across the nation to talk to us. I've personally been inspired by the words I've heard from those politicians, and I have Jackson's immense dedication and diligence to thank for that. With the utmost certainty, I can say that there is no one better fit to serve as Texas JSA's Speaker of the House than Jackson Osteen.
Hello, Texas JSA. If you don't already know me, my name is Jackson Osteen, and today I have the honor of telling you why I deserve to be your next Speaker of the House. But before I do that, I think it's important to address the fact that this election cycle is not normal. As you already know, due to COVID-19, Spring State has been canceled, and that was devastating news for all of us. But I hope you remember that while conventions are some of the most fun and cherished moments in JSA, JSA is more than a gathering of people twice a year. JSA is a movement of people dedicated to a cause, and that can be helpful to remember. But also know that if you're at home watching this video, that means you're doing exactly what you should be doing, staying inside and keeping others safe. Let's all continue to make sure we're following the advice of those in authority so we can keep our communities and fellow JSAers safe. I've been in Texas JSA for 3 years, and I've made some of my best memories, my closest friends, and found a passion for political issues that will stick with me the rest of my life. It all began 3 years ago, when I was invited by seniors to attend Fall State, and I honestly viewed it just as a way to have fun with my friends. It actually wasn't until about 6 months later at a debate tournament in Osteen that I decided to get involved. One of my closest friends told me something that stuck with me. She said, "Whatever you put into JSA, you get out." And I decided I was going to go all in and apply for cabinet. And cabinet changed everything for me. I had the unique experience of working in 2 different departments, where I worked with some of our finest leaders, like Logan George or Sarika Kotha. Most of you know me as the Director of Political Communications, or the guy who introduces the keynote speaker, a job I deeply loved, because it gave me the opportunity to connect high-profile politicians with JSAers excited to learn and be inspired. And while I loved the moments I got to spend with those politicians, the moments that meant the most to me were not meeting and talking with the politicians themselves. It would be when JSAers would approach me afterward and tell me that they felt empowered by seeing a fellow Black woman in a position to change the world like Sheila Jackson Lee, or someone from their small town making it all the way to the Supreme Court like Jimmy Blacklock. It was those moments that drove home my love for JSA, that by inspiring students to believe in themselves, I was a part of a movement bigger than myself. So let me tell you a little bit about my vision for our organization. If you elect me to be your Speaker of the House, I have 3 main goals. The first is to reintroduce the activism block to all conventions. When I talked to people about what they wanted to see changed, they told me they missed the opportunity to connect with like-minded organizations at conventions. So one of my goals will be to mandate that we have at least 30 political groups or movements represented at conventions across the political spectrum, from the Sunrise Movement to ending the death penalty. I'm also excited about an idea to incentivize activism by introducing an Activist of the Year award, given to someone who has shown immense dedication to a cause, which would be nominated by chapters and then selected by the Big 3. My other goals include revamping the JSA website, because in order to be an effective organization, we should be constantly advancing our technology, and also to look for ways to lower the cost of registration for all members. When I introduced Representative Castro in November, who by the way was always kind to me, he told me JSA was unlike anything he'd ever experienced, because it was about inclusion in a time when so much was about division. I decided to run for Speaker because I love this organization, and we all share common goals. The times we are in are not easy, but when we stick together and remember what makes JSA great, it becomes just that much easier. So to all JSA, my name is Jackson. I hope you've grasped the vision of my campaign and will vote for me to be your next Speaker of the House.
Hey guys, my name is Lucas, and I'm the Deputy Director of Publicity as well as the Mayor for the GCR region from Carnegie Vanguard High School. I was first introduced to Dean through a mutual friend back in 7th grade. When I met him, the one thing that immediately stuck out to me was his character. He was this lively, determined kid who was not afraid to put himself out there and who made everyone around him feel included and inspired. As I started to get to know him more, he would always tell me about his future goals, which weren't a lot, of course, since we were middle schoolers, but I was able to convey a sense of ambition from him that I would later recognize to be a pivotal aspect of who he truly is, a leader. Yet, we didn't see each other that often, and it would be 2 years until I would meet up with him again. After the 2018 Spring State opening session concluded, I got up from my chair only to hear someone say, "Are you Lucas from Carnegie?" That person's voice sounded familiar to me, and when I looked back, I instantly recognized that it was Dean. We started talking about all that had happened since the last time we saw each other, and how ironic it was that we would reconnect in JSA out of all places. We stuck together throughout most of the convention, and we both came to realize how amazing this organization really is. After the big three candidates gave their speeches, he turned to me and said, "That's going to be us one day. I don't know who, but I know we'll both make it." Dean is the type of guy who stops at nothing to accomplish his goals. His dedication to this organization has set him up to be one of the most exemplary members throughout all of JSA. For the past 2 years, Dean and I have both been a part of the publicity department, and he has made his involvement in cabinet as a chance to become more proactive and impactful in the furthering of JSA's core mission. Also, Dean has had experience in all aspects of JSA, whether it be through his position as his chapter's newly elected president, the deputy director of publicity, or as his regional official representing the Senate. Yet, above all, Dean's unwavering drive to enhance the experience of every JSAer has established him as the most genuine and ideal candidate for Speaker of the House. Through being his campaign manager and seeing him develop into an incredible JSAer, I've never been more proud to call him my best friend. I urge you all to vote Dean Toumajian and vote for a better JSA. Thank you.
Hello, Texas JSA. My name is Dean Toumajian, and I'm running for your next Speaker of the House. Now, I want to say what an honor it's been to run alongside Jackson, Shravya, and Ananya. These are such good friends of mine, and I know regardless of the outcome, JSA will be in great hands. See, my JSA story started like most people's stories did. Spring State, my freshman year. I didn't instantly fall in love with JSA like most people did. That came a little later, but I'll get to that. See, as a freshman, I didn't realize we were expected to go to debate each and every block. So I skipped them to talk to some candidates. And I talked to all the candidates. I'm so happy I did this because I got a chance to see why people wanted to run. At first, I went to Evan Finley. I talked to him for probably an hour, and he was running for the position I'm running for, Speaker of the House. I asked him why people were so invested in this organization, and by the end of it, I definitely understood why. I then moved on to talking to Dominic Beck. He eventually became our governor. Now, more than anything, I remember Dominic telling me that it was so amazing to see people as passionate as he was, and I definitely agree. And the last thing he told me was, more than your vote, he wanted me to apply for cabinet. And so I did, and that begins my journey. I applied for cabinet, and that's when I fell in love with JSA, my first cabinet convention. I realized that I had an impact on a national organization, albeit small, I still had an impact. And I did not stop there. I became VP of my president, and I held that for 2 years, and now I'm chapter president. I then reapplied this year for cabinet, and I became deputy director of publicity. And finally, off another recommendation from Dominic Beck, I ran for senator, and I won. Now, here I am, 3 years later, and JSA has taken over my life, identity, and everything I am. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is why I'm running for speaker, because I can't imagine being less involved in JSA than I already am. But my story's over for now, and I'm super excited to jump into my platform. Now, I want everyone to understand that even though I refer to it as a platform, that's not what it is. Because what I've laid out is not a platform, but a promise. I promise if I get elected, I'll do what I say I hope to do. I'll strive to do better JSA and help it become the best it can be. My platform is broken down into 3 main points: bettering conventions, increasing regional activity, and strengthening cabinet. Now, we'll take it point by point. Let's start off by improving the conventions. As a senator, I was able to make real change. I wrote and passed 2 bills, I sponsored another one that eventually passed, and I just submitted a bill to implement director forums in Block 0 of all conventions. This bill should promote transparency between officers and constituents. Furthermore, I want to help nighttime activities get stronger. Being a former Mr. JSA, I know a thing or two about nighttime activities. Dances kind of seem a little stale, so I want to implement electronic surveys for song recommendations, but I don't want it to stop there. I want electronic surveys and voting for everything. And finally, I want to see themed conventions. I want them to be more memorable. I did this at chapter cons with Lucas, and they worked really well. Now I want to see them at the state level. Now let's look at when I was working with Lucas, I realized maintaining activism on the local and regional level is very difficult. I found that even though the activism department is working super hard year-round, activism awareness is faltering. This is why I'm introducing a completely new idea in the form of activism cons. These will work much in the same way as chapter cons, where future mayors would set these up as a way to fundraise money for JSA or help volunteer outside. This is a great way for the average member of JSA to get a little more JSA in their life. Finally, I want to talk about cabinet. The cabinet is the core of JSA, and without it, JSA wouldn't exist. I hope to push publicity to the forefront of JSA and help increase attention. In addition, coming from a smaller chapter, I know the struggle of maintaining interest. So I want to help write and introduce an expansion guide that will make it easier for presidents to grow their chapter. And finally, activism cons. This would be a great way for members to participate in JSA year-round. There's so much more I can say and so much more I have planned, but if I kept talking, I'd be talking for hours. I'll leave you with this. At the end of my first spring state, I told Lucas that one day we would be sitting in front of all of JSA. The speech is bittersweet. I was brought to tears finding out that spring state wasn't going to happen, but I'm unapologetically happy that I can still reach everyone. JSA has become everything to me. If you see me outside of JSA, it sounds like I'm a walking ad for it. I'm always thinking about JSA, waiting for the next convention, and thrilled to participate in debates. JSA is not a club for me. It's my life. Because as we say, be the people.
Hi, I'm Chris Adams from the Wooten chapter over in Montgomery County, and it is my pleasure to nominate Ben Crockett as your next Lieutenant Governor for the Texas state. I first met Ben at the Georgetown Summer Program, and his dedication has never ceased to surprise me. Time and time again, he has shown his devotion to the JSA and its mission to make new leaders. Ben has transformed his own chapter into a successful place where students can come together, find a place in the political world, and it is my belief that he can do the same thing for the entire Texas state. Ben Crockett continues to demonstrate not only his commitment to the JSA, but to the people in it. His unique personality affects everyone he meets. From the first moment I knew him, he was planning and leading everything from Bible studies to fundraisers, hoping to guide people to be the best. He represents the JSA in all parts of his life, and as Lieutenant Governor will excel at expanding the Texas state. He continues to be the epitome of both Texas and the JSA. So vote Ben for Lieutenant Governor.
I heard once that a good speech is like a shooting star, like a comet. Dazzling, eye-opening, and over before you know it. Well, my campaign team told me before I went on today that I should try to keep this short, not wanting to bore you all. They said that in a good speech, it's best to leave your audience before they leave you. So I want to briefly present the 3 reasons why you should vote for Ben Crockett for Lieutenant Governor. And number 1 is my experience. See, I founded my chapter at College Station High School. And one of the things that we've emphasized from the very beginning is diversity. I want to tell you about the fruits of that investment. Today, as I speak to you, 50% of our cabinet, of our chapter officers, are women. Another quarter is second-generation Americans, and a solid fourth is first-generation Americans. So, based on my experience at College Station High School, I can tell you that I emphasize diversity. And the second part of my experience that I want to tell you about is my commitment to expansion. Expansion is something that Texas JSA badly needs. And expansion is something that I delivered with at College Station High School. From that first meeting of only 4 people to our first chapter meeting with 8 people, we have more than doubled in size. And I'm proud to say that I achieved expansion at my high school. But other than my experience, I want to tell you about my vision. Now, I promised to keep this brief, and so I will. But I'm going to outline the 3 major points of my vision. Number 1 is treasury. Number 2 is expansion. And number 3 is xenophilia, not xenophobia. Now, if you want to learn more about these points, please go to CrockettForLieutenantGovernor.com or see my Instagram page. But the final reason that I think you should vote Ben Crockett for Lieutenant Governor is my endorsements. You see, a wise man once told me that you can know a lot about a man by who his friends are. And from Chris Adams, Brandon Gore, to Kamori Hudson, and Lauren Marquez, and Carson Wolf, I have the endorsements so that you know that I'm your guy for Lieutenant Governor. So, if you're listening to this message and you're thinking, gosh, why Ben Crockett? I want you to remember these 3 things. A vote for Ben Crockett is a vote for his vision. It's a vote for his experience. And it's a vote for those who endorsed him. I'm Ben Crockett, a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of the Texas Union State, and I approve this message.
Walking to my first CapCon as a nervous sophomore, I didn't know what to expect to do or who to talk to, since I was the only person from my chapter and region who attended. I walked to the table labeled convention and saw Logan sitting there with an eager and welcoming smile. She became my first friend in JSA, and little did I know that friendship would soon foreshadow our JSA journey, and that enthusiastic face from CapCon would soon become the face of JSA. I've had the honor of working with Logan ever since I joined Cabinet. We first fought our battles as Assistant Convention Coordinator and Deputy Director of Logistics, and now as Convention Coordinator and Director of Logistics. From working in the pre-con room until midnight to running around the Capitol building trying to fix any sudden mishaps, Logan has done everything she could to make every convention organized, enjoyable, and a memorable experience for everyone. She lends a helping hand not only to the convention department, but to all JSAers. She always listens to everyone's voice and tries to create a solution that implements everyone's perspectives. Throughout my time in JSA, I've been able to see Logan's growing passion for this organization and was able to appreciate everything that Logan has done for the JSA community. I guarantee that as LTG, Logan will refine JSA with her 12-point plan, which includes raising funds for chapters to help them go to conventions and also increasing communication between Cabinet and the JSA body so that everyone is aware of what is going on throughout the year. With Logan as LTG, this organization will be set on the path to success.
If you opened up my purse at Fall State this year, you would have found a laptop, pens, some important documents, and 200 assorted Dum Dum lollipops. To explain, I'd place clues in the agenda where if you told me your favorite JSA memory at the convention, you could win a lollipop. Sadly, only one person came to collect their prize, leaving me with 199 lollipops left over. Most people would say that this was a waste of time, but as I look back, I would do it all again. I was able to form a connection with one JSAer, and to me, that was worth it. Plus, I was pretty popular handing out the lollipops on the bus ride home. This story demonstrates what makes me love JSA so much. It's a place where you can connect to other people. However, JSA hasn't reached its full potential. I'm running for LTG because through my 12-point plan, I will drastically improve JSA as a platform for personal connections and political activism. My JSA journey started at my freshman orientation when I signed up for a club that would change my life. At my first convention, though I wasn't much of a public speaker, I got so into a debate about equal pay that I was the first subsequent at my first debate. Although I wasn't very good, I will never forget the exhilarating feeling I had giving that speech. After the convention, JSA had me hooked, so I got more involved. In my chapter, I became a fundraising agent, then treasurer, and then chapter president, where I reorganized our cabinet, emphasized activism, and raised over $6,000 to get us out of years of debt. On the state level, I became assistant convention coordinator, where I learned the inner workings of JSA from amazing mentors. This year, as convention coordinator, my main focus was ensuring JSAers had a say in convention planning through forums and robust feedback systems. However, my proudest accomplishment was the first ever electronic voting system at Fall State, which increased efficiency and brought JSA into the 21st century, all while saving some trees. I'm proud of the work that I did in convention, but the fact that I'm giving this speech from my living room instead of Spring State shows that JSA is facing unprecedented change. We need, now more than ever, the experienced and knowledgeable leadership that I can bring as LTG, so JSA can emerge from this crisis stronger than before. In this speech, I will spare you an explanation of my entire 12-point plan, but please check it out on my website or on Instagram at Logan for LTG. First, despite the improvements I've made to convention, one area that still needs attention is debate. I love JSA debates, but the topics can be a bit weak. Giving debate agents autonomy over their resolutions and allowing them to focus on state policy and foreign issues would increase our topic diversity. And for new JSAers, beginner debates would make people more comfortable speaking up. Secondly, JSA may be a democracy, but it lacks when it comes to transparency and representation. As LTG, I will provide departmental reports on cabinet activities to bridge the gap between JSA leaders and JSAers. Also, it's about time we reduce the regional requirements and finally allow the RGC and the PMC to get the voices that they deserve. Of course, JSA happens on more than a state level. Chapters play a crucial role in JSA and they need more resources. Instead of agents contacting chapter presidents separately, I plan to put CIA fundraising and activism agents in teams to help chapter affairs and foster cooperation. Also, direct contacts to agents would help chapters raise more money and hold more activism events because of their improved access to state-level resources. Furthermore, activism is how JSAers take their passion and use it for real-world change. And it's been put on the back burner for far too long. As LTG, I will have state and regional officials organize day-long projects and fairs to increase engagement and reduce the pressure on CPs to pull off activism events alone. Even small things like a speech at conventions can help activism get the spotlight that it deserves. Lastly, I will expand the Chapter of the Year competition to a year-long event where chapters receive points for things like best speakers and chapter cons. We will also factor in chapter size to make sure that smaller chapters get the recognition that they deserve. Overall, these plans will allow the organization we love to reach its full potential. Although we may not have a convention right now where I can prove the results of my efforts, I hope that my platform, experience, and passion still convince you that I'm worthy of your vote. Vote Logan, and you will vote for a leader who will work for you, one lollipop at a time. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Angela Wang, your National Director of Activism, and today I'm incredibly excited to be nominating my close friend, Emma Moser, your current Director of Activism, to be your next Texas JSA Governor. When I first met Emma, I was completely blown away by her passion and work ethic. Not only that, she's just one of the most kind-hearted and genuine people that I've met throughout this organization. So, when she first announced her candidacy, I knew that she would be an amazing fit to be our next Texas JSA Governor. First is because of her experience. Over the past 3 years, Emma has dedicated her time to activism and has done incredible things for JSA and the community at large. Not only did she host a highly successful drive, collecting more than 400 supplies for a homeless shelter, she's also the first ever director to plan out an activism block. But in addition to her experience, she also has amazing ideas to push our state forward. First is with convention. Along with planning a Wii gaming room during nighttime activities, Emma also wants to create a pre-made pamphlet that can be handed out to newcomers of JSA, welcoming them and explaining the experience. But in order to get people to convention, she's also got an idea for fundraising, such as creating state-classy fundraising accounts for all Texas JSAers and allowing chapters to host their own fundraising initiatives at school. Finally, with publicity and expansion, Emma's two key priorities is inclusion and clarity. That's why, besides allowing and creating new publicity videos that would explain things such as cabinet applications or My JSA, she also wants to send specialized information explanations about cabinet applications specifically to smaller chapters. Now trust me, I know just how important your vote for governor really is, but I promise you that if you put your trust into Emma, she will amaze you, just like she's managed to amaze me time and time again.
Greetings, Texas JSA. I am Emma Moser, current candidate for governor. I hope this video finds you of good health. Today, I'm here to talk about my experience in JSA, a few key points from my platform, and ultimately, why you should elect me to be your next governor. I've been a member of JSA since my freshman year. I went to a convention and was immediately hooked. Young people so energetic and outspoken about their views in politics is a combination like no other. That summer, I was inspired to apply for cabinet, which led to me becoming an activism agent. I've been able to build on this, and this year I've had the honor to serve as your Director of Activism. Our department has accomplished a lot this year. We had a successful drive at Fall State with over 400 donations to the Settlement Home for Children. We also worked diligently to implement the revamped Fight Apathy campaign. While we had a full activism block planned, with the cancellation of Spring State, we were not able to fulfill it. The way I look at it, it's a head start for next year. We also recently released a social distancing guide, a great resource for all JSAers. That being said, it is easy to conclude that the part of my platform I'm the most passionate and vocal about is activism. I know that JSA conventions are great. However, participating in activism initiatives throughout the year is really how we affect change. I cannot emphasize enough how true this is. If you can learn anything from JSA, it is that youth have the means and motivation to spark and create real change about issues they care deeply about. In addition to volunteering in my community, JSA inspired me to walk for a candidate in the last Senate race and learn how to register voters. So first, to address the activism part of my platform, I want everyone to understand and participate in the revamped Fight Apathy. This would entail a guide going through and detailing all 3 parts, more posts on social media, and a live Q&A. Next, increasing initiatives throughout the state. I feel that Fight Apathy awareness can help accomplish this. While some chapters may be more active, we don't hear about it, and we want to. Chapters can set positive examples for others and lead the way as role models. We will be highlighting these chapters on social media through posts, which would be called Activism Chapter of the Month. Lastly, I want to introduce an end of the year activism award for the chapter who has gone above and beyond. Great communication would be needed to ensure the success of these initiatives and so much more. This leads me to the next part of my platform concerning regions, and this is pretty vital given that we only congregate 3 times a year. I would like bi-weekly emails sent out to chapter presidents to serve as updates. Also, to be more efficient and streamline the relay of information, having CIA be the main point of contact between chapter presidents. In addition, I'd like to see the establishment of what could be called the JSA Yellow Book, which overlaps with the expansion part of my platform. This would serve as a directory for chapter leaders should they need to contact Big Six, directors, agents, or regional officials. It would also contain information, like maps and other visuals, about schools and regions and applications throughout the year. This would be distributed alongside a fundraising guide, which would help direct chapters how to fundraise successfully to help pay for transportation and additional convention costs. We need to help smaller chapters. I would like to pair their chapter president with the leader from a larger chapter, who can help them on some tips on how to fundraise and grow chapter size. This would not only help grow small chapters, but build better chapter relations. I would finally like to highlight convention pamphlets. While there are resources to find out how convention works, they're dense and not the most inviting read. My solution, a pamphlet with information ranging from what convention is, stems for questions to ask during a debate, an itinerary, and more. To conclude, I want to make sure I can help students become as engaged and passionate as I have in JSA. A couple of JSA's missions are to create leaders and to teach students about our democratic society and how to engage in it. These core values are what I want to help continue to pursue. I want to ensure your voice is heard and that we emphasize unity. In this past year, I've witnessed some events where JSAers felt voiceless and discriminated against. This disappoints me because that's not what JSA stands for. While this is the exception and not the rule, I want to address it to ensure there are no similar circumstances next year. I am responsible, dedicated, and passionate about JSA. You should elect me as your next governor because I am here to make change in your best interest. With my experience, I know what needs to be improved, and more importantly, how to do it. My platform is not only a list of ideas, but a to-do list I plan on completing. Since the time limit does not allow me to address everything about my platform in detail, I encourage you to take the initiative to visit my Instagram at Emma4Gov. There you will find more details concerning my plans for JSA. Thank you, and remember, to solve your dilemma, vote Emma.
There is no one I would more readily nominate for governor of Texas JSA than Christine Rong. Christine has become both an amazing JSA mentor in addition to a fantastic friend. Working with this incredible young woman for the past 4 months has made Christine both an amazing JSA mentor to me in addition to a fantastic friend. And it has given me a glimpse into the kind of leader whom we should entrust with guiding this great organization. When she initially asked me to help run her campaign, Christine took the time to FaceTime me for well over 2 hours so that we could get to know one another. Never once during the entire call did Christine try and sell her campaign to me or wear some kind of facade that political candidates too often don't. She simply expressed why it was that she loved JSA and in turn listened when I spoke about my passion for the organization. I didn't have to think further. She would be my choice for the governor, and I was determined on being a part of getting her there. That was the first of many, many late night calls. And still to this day, that conversation was perhaps the most honest and refreshing experience I've ever had in my entire JSA career. I believe that the strongest leaders aren't those who spout lofty promises or radical alterations. Instead, I believe that the strongest leaders are those who respect the foundation that has been laid by the work of those who came before them. They use their extensive knowledge and experience to craft intelligent plans for the future and to create tangible change. That is exactly what Christine's platforms aims to accomplish, focusing on the transparency that JSA uniquely relies on as a student-led organization. Christine plans to dive headfirst into emphasizing the 3 C's: chapters, communication, and change. It is through working to improve all 3 of those areas in ways that are attainable and clever that Christine distinguishes herself from other candidates. If you elect Christine Rong as your governor, here's what I know you will get: an honest, diligent, and compassionate woman who leads with humility and whose fierce passion for this organization manifests itself in a genuine love for what she does. Her heart and focus are always with those around her, with the people. Christine Rong is the people.
Hey guys, it's Christine, and I am a junior at the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts in Houston, Texas, and I am your current Director of Expansion, running to be your next Texas JSA governor. I know you probably have heard those exact lines from me before, but I want to go further into what JSA means to me, specifically how my experiences have allowed me to craft my platform and why I am running to represent you as governor. Maybe you have read my platform or closely watched my campaign through social media, or maybe even seen the endorsements from qualified, hardworking people in JSA, but now it is time for me to speak directly to you. It still devastates me that I cannot share this experience with you in person, to look at you in the eyes from the podium and to see your faces, but I am so grateful to share some of my words with you today. I began my JSA journey through my drive to become more politically involved. I sought to better my public speaking skills and to experience civil discourse since I was never able to have that before. When entering my new high school, I found a community in JSA that allowed me to freely express myself and my views towards the political world. With my small chapter of about 10 to 15 members, mostly seniors who were all passionate but also intimidating to me, I knew that JSA was the place where I would be the happiest and eventually would devote all my time and effort into improving every aspect I possibly could. As JSA meetings went by throughout the year, I attended every single one despite the fact that I was terrified to participate. When Fall State came around, I was in awe by the hundreds of politically active students who were confidently expressing their views and was truly inspired when hearing that year's Speaker of the House encourage every single one of us to be more open and to put ourselves out there. After the convention had ended, I knew JSA would not only be a place where I would witness civil discourse and become more educated, but it was also going to be the place where I would be challenged, pushed out of my comfort zone, and grow as a person overall. 3 years have flown by, and as I sit here and reflect on what JSA has taught me and what it means to me, I can honestly say that this organization has given me a lot of great memories. I remember arriving at Spring State last year, knowing my last few months of being an expansion agent were wrapping up, excited to see my first successful expansion chapter enter through the hotel lobby. The chapter greeted me with open arms, and the excitement I saw on their faces for the weekend ahead was indescribable. They showed me that the success of JSA derives from its students and chapters, regardless of whether they are new or old. While watching them attend different thought talks, participate in debates, and talk to candidates, I learned that prioritizing small chapters, chapter representation, and chapter growth are a few of the most important factors that will allow JSA to thrive. When I was appointed director of my department, I immediately started to prioritize these 3 things as soon as CapCon came around. The day of the convention, I arrived early, sat, and waited for the rest of my department to arrive. And when we all hit it off immediately, that was the moment I realized that the bond our department was going to have that year would be unbreakable. Through these experiences, I've learned that communication is one of the most important things to prioritize in JSA, whether that be between all cabinet members, CPs, or regular JSAers. Ensuring good communication not only allows us to be more aware of cabinet and chapter activity, but also improves all aspects of JSA, such as increased participation, convention engagement, and through this, the creation of meaningful experiences. Finally, I remember Fall State 2019, the first time my entire chapter ate dinner together, went to the dance together, and had the closest bond at a convention any of us had ever experienced. That experience showed me that no matter what struggles we went through that year or how much our chapter grew, the relationship that we built was the most valuable to us. Policy change and achievements like those I wish to accomplish through my platform are incredibly important, but what is even more valuable to me are the connections and communication that we will build upon. Although this virtual election does not beat speaking to you in person, it makes an impact on me in a different way. I've been in JSA for 3 years, and I can confidently say that I wouldn't be the same person without it, and I wouldn't be the same person without this election. At this point, it isn't just about which candidate is more passionate, hardworking, because every single one of us running loves this organization and are all capable and willing to commit to JSA. But it is about who you wish to represent you. Through my campaign, I have gone by the slogan, "Vote Wrong, not Wrong." And although I still stand by this, I want to express that at this point there is no wrong choice in this election, yet there is one unique choice, someone who will stand for you, represent you, and do everything possible to listen to you. Thank you, JSA, for allowing me to evolve from a scared but passionate freshman to currently running my own Big 3 campaign. Thank you for being the only organization where I can pull up to a convention with a dislocated kneecap and still have an amazing experience. Finally, thank you for allowing me to successfully improve a department, run a chapter, but most importantly, to meet and learn from the most amazing people who have guided me through struggles, encouraged me, and saw the hard work and drive I was able to bring to the table. As governor, I will not only ensure the most transparent, inclusive, and the most connected version of JSA, but I will also ensure that JSA continues to grow as a community. At the end of the day, we are Texas JSA. We all share a common goal and passion to fight apathy, and we will all continue to be the people. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shravya Aparasu, and I am the Texas JSA Director of Debate. I'm coming to you right now from my bedroom, which desperately need to clean and probably repaint, too. Man, this is an ugly color. It doesn't matter, because I have something much more important to talk about. David Tang, who I'm endorsing for JSA governor. David is a longtime friend, colleague, and fellow Kanye fanatic, and I have full confidence that he will be the best possible leader we can get for this great organization, and there's 3 reasons why. First, his platform. Now, I'm the president of a small school. We bring 6 or 7 kids to convention. We have trouble with transportation and costs. And I see that David's platform is the best for schools like us and big schools. He has the interests of everybody in mind. In what he tells me personally, in what I see reflected in his platform, he wants to make convention a better experience in terms of accessibility, in terms of voice, and in terms of experience. He has the interest of every single school and every single person. Next is his work ethic. His work ethic is crazy. He's extremely diligent. And basically, he will do any type of work. Logistical work, mundane work, menial tasks, whatever he needs to do to get the job done successfully and efficiently, he'll do it. And that's why I know David is a man of action. Next, my personal experiences with him have been amazing. He's somebody that doesn't leave you unopened. He doesn't even leave you undelivered. He will respond to you in 5 minutes, and he's a very communicable person. He also makes sure that everything he does is to the benefit of those around him. If he's working with people in his department, if he's working with people outside of his department, he tries to make it a mutually beneficial experience. Everything David has done, everything I see in his platform, everything that he's leading up to is something that's going to make JSA better. And I'm proud to say I'm a part of the Tang gang.
Once upon a time, there was a little boy from Bel Air High School who decided to join an organization called JSA. In sophomore year, he applied for cabinet and got into CIA. In junior year, he ran for governor and he won. Now, this little Asian boy's name from Bel Air High School was Osteen, former governor of Texas JSA, and actually the governor of Texas JSA when I was in 8th grade. So I've actually never had him as my governor, but I've heard the stories about him. And from his approachable personality to his absolutely maniacal work ethic, Osteen was the model statesman. And it's ironic because I've never actually had him as my governor. I've never even met him in person, but he's been one of my biggest inspirations in JSA. And I think that speaks a lot about him. Because Ajay is someone who many people have never met, yet still talk about, yet still feel his impact on JSA. And I want to be like that. Not so much the remember part, but someone who's left their mark, their impact on JSA. 5-10 years down the line, I want people to know that I made a difference, that I helped shape JSA for the better. And I thought for a long time on how I could do this, how I could transform the organization that has transformed me for the better. And so I decided that I would run for governor. Now, when I think of JSA, I think of be the people. To that end, my first and foremost priority as governor is representation. But right now, Texas JSA continuously ignores both small chapters and chapters in counties. Because before we build up, we have to have a strong foundation. And that foundation comes from representation. Representation that is strong and innate in our organization. Now, small chapters currently suffer from many monetary problems, which oftentimes blocks them from attending conventions, transportation being one of these biggest monetary issues. To that end, not only do I have thorough fundraising plans, but I also want to partner and negotiate with bus companies. That way we can provide affordable and cheap transportation for any JSA who wants to go to a convention. Next, speaking of conventions, Spring State. Spring State is where we elect our elected officials and where we can finally voice our thoughts on who we want to be represented by next school year. But if some chapters can't attend conventions, that also means that they can't attend Spring State, which means that they can't vote. And that's kind of messed up because everyone should have a say in our government. And to that end, I want to create an online voting alternative. That way, even if you have time constraints, conflicting schedules, or financial issues, you can still have a say in our government, in our JSA, because you're part of this organization. And finally, cabinet. Cabinet is currently comprised of 82% of people from big chapters. That's a huge issue. And as governor, I promise that I will prioritize diversity and inclusivity for all. And speaking of that, after we've laid the sturdy foundation, we can move on to the framework. And JSA's framework is cabinet. Now, before I dive in too deep into cabinet and my reforms for it, I'd first like to say I encourage everyone to apply for cabinet. I know that y'all may have different backgrounds, but regardless, cabinet is for everyone, and I will make sure of that as governor. But I'm not going to beat around the bush. Cabinet isn't perfect, but I will be reforming it. And to begin with, let's start with the fact that cabinet lacks communication, with departments rarely working together, and with people within a department frankly not familiar with their departmates. I want to increase interdepartmental initiatives and intra-departmental communication. That way, we can open up possibilities for multi-departmental projects while also increasing communication within each department. Let's also recognize that the cabinet suffers from inefficient bureaucracy, with information passed from the big three to directors to agents to chapters to members, which is highly inefficient. As governor, I'll be opening direct streams of communication straight from the big three all the way down to regular members. That way, information that's time sensitive, such as debate signups or last minute activism projects, are passed down in a timely and efficient manner. And with the foundation and framework done, now it's time to paint the walls, lay the roof on our new home, and look up and beyond. The potential for JSA is immense. It's quite literally my dream organization. I don't know what it would be or what I'd be without JSA. With my plans, I truly believe that JSA can reach new, unprecedented heights. A JSA where everyone can attend a convention, where everyone can attend an activism event, where everyone knows what's going on, and where we're all a community. Where we disagree and debate with smiles on our faces, where we long for the next convention or the next chance to meet up. That is the JSA that I want to see. Ultimately, I want to help shape and impact an organization that's done so much for me, an organization that I will not hesitate to devote all my time and effort into. This is where we make change. This is where we work together to improve the organization that we love so much. Even if I lose this race, I will continue to make strides to improve JSA. My name's David, and I'm running for Texas JSA Governor to represent you. Let's be the people.